Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're asking some really interesting questions, things you've probably thought about. Why do some people just, rise to challenges, almost seem to enjoy them, while others kind of run the other way? And why does responsibility feel so empowering to some, but honestly terrifying to many others? So today, our deep dive is all about the mind's embrace of responsibility. We're going to unpack how our minds really impact our ability, or sometimes our inability, to take things on. Here's where it gets really interesting. Our mission today. Understand the mind's role and figure out how we can maybe train it to embrace responsibility, not fear it.
Yeah, these are questions that touch pretty much everyone, right? And what's fascinating looking at our sources is how much our perception, just how we see things, can totally alter our reality when it comes to taking charge. The answers, it turns out, are really inside the mind itself. We'll be exploring how that internal narrative, the story we tell ourselves, how that shapes absolutely everything.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our mind works like a filter. That's the core idea. So this filter interprets situations, shapes how we feel about them. Like, our responsibility comes along.
Yeah.
It's just neutral, not good or bad.
Precisely. The task itself, if you connect this to the bigger picture, is it's just a task. It's the mind that steps in and decides, okay, is this a burden or is this actually a gift? Think about the difference. A mind filled with doubt immediately jumps to, what if I mess this up? What if I let people down? Am I even good enough for this? Suddenly, a simple task, maybe something quite manageable, feels like climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah, and you're exhausted before you even take the first step.
Totally. But then, imagine a mind that's been trained, maybe, with a bit more courage, more clarity. That mind sees the same responsibility and thinks, okay, this is my chance. This is how I grow. This is how I prove to myself I can do this. And suddenly, that responsibility isn't a mountain anymore. It's like a ladder, a way up.
The situation's the same, but the experience is totally different.
Exactly. It's all about that internal spin.
So what does this all mean for why so many of us do shy away from it? From responsibility. It sounds like it's not usually because we genuinely can't handle it.
That's a key thing our sources point to. People often back away, not because they lack the actual ability, but because of the stories, the narrative their mind cooks up.
Stories like?
Well, the big ones. The fear of failing, obviously. The fear of being judged, maybe by your boss, your team, even friends. And sometimes it's just the fear of stepping outside that comfy zone,
Right.
Our minds tend to sort of exaggerate the dangers, blow them out of proportion, while at the same time minimizing our own strengths, our past wins.
So our brain is kind of working against us sometimes, making things seem scarier.
You could say that, yeah. It's a protective instinct, gone a bit haywire in modern life, so something relatively small, maybe speaking up in a meeting or leading a small project or just making a decision, it can suddenly feel huge. Overwhelming. The mind paints this picture of massive risk. And that leads to this really core truth. Responsibility itself doesn't weigh you down. It's the fear inside your mind that does. That's the real heavy lifting.
Wow. It is the fear inside your mind that does, that really lands. Okay, so if it is mostly in the mind, can we actually change that narrative? Our sources talk about this mental shift. Like, imagine if you could just flip a switch. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Yeah. What if the first question was always, but what if I succeed? And instead of saying, oh, this is way too much for me, what if you thought, this is exactly the thing that's going to make me stronger? That feels huge.
It absolutely is. And that shift, that's what we often call a growth mindset. It's more than just, thinking positively. It's a real belief system. The core idea is that every responsibility, no matter how daunting it looks at first, isn't some kind of punishment. It's an opportunity.
An opportunity
to learn something new, to expand what you're capable of, to evolve, really. And when you adopt this mindset, even the heaviest seeming tasks start to feel lighter. Why? Because the mind stops fighting it. It stops resisting. It accepts. It leans in. And it grows.
That makes sense. Less internal struggle.
Exactly. The energy goes into the task, not the resistance.
Okay, let's make this really concrete. There's a great analogy in the sources. Think about a child learning to ride a bicycle. That feeling at the start, it feels impossible, right? Balancing, pedaling, steering, all at once. It's terrifying.
Yes. And that feeling, that impossible feeling, it's exactly like the mind's first reaction to a big responsibility. The child's mind is screaming, I'm gonna fall, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And the fear makes the bike seem like this monster.
Yeah, I remember that feeling.
But what happens? Slowly, maybe with some help, lots of wobbles, lots of tries, the mind starts to change its tune.
Right. They don't try it all at once.
Yeah.
It's balancing first, maybe.
Exactly. Small steps. And that internal voice shifts. It goes from I can't to maybe, maybe I can. And then with a bit more practice, a bit more courage, it becomes, okay, I'm going to try. And then boom, they're riding. The responsibility that seemed impossible is suddenly normal, fun even.
So the bike didn't change. The task didn't change.
Not at all. What changed was the mind. Which kind of makes you ask, doesn't it? What bicycle are you facing right now that your mind is telling you is impossible?
That's a really good question to sit with. Okay, so this leads to another really interesting idea. Most people see responsibility as, like, a cage, right? More obligations, less freedom. But the sources suggest, what if it's actually the key to freedom? That sounds backwards.
It does seem counterintuitive at first glance, yeah. But if you zoom out, taking responsibility actually gives you more control over your life, not less. When you own your choices, your actions, your path, you stop being just someone things happen to. You become the person making things happen, the creator of your future.
Shifting from victim to creator.
Exactly. Now, the mind might resist at first. It sees the effort, the potential struggle. But once it experiences that, taking responsibility leads to real growth, feeling stronger, more independent. Its whole perspective shifts. It stops seeing responsibility as this heavy burden. It starts seeing it as freedom, the freedom to choose your path, to grow.
Okay, I like that. Responsibility is freedom. So, practically speaking, what does this mean for you listening right now? How do you actually train your mind, like that kid on the bike, to embrace responsibility? Our sources give 3 pretty clear steps.
Yes, and there are things you can start doing, like today. First one, reframe fear as growth. So every single time that little voice pipes up, oh, this is too much, or I can't handle this, you consciously pause and you tell yourself, no, this is how I grow. You're basically interrupting that automatic fear pathway.
Actively talking back to the doubt.
Precisely. Second step, start small. This is crucial. Don't try to conquer your biggest fear on day one. Find smaller responsibilities, things that stretch you just a little bit. Take those on first. Handling those successfully builds up confidence. It's like mental strength training. Little wins build momentum.
And those bigger things start to look less scary.
Exactly. They feel lighter because your mind knows, hey, I've handled things before. I can handle this too.
And I guess noticing those small wins is important.
Absolutely. That's step 3. Celebrate progress. Every time you handle a responsibility, even a small one, take a moment, acknowledge it. Feel that sense of accomplishment. This isn't about bragging. It's about reinforcing a positive connection in your brain. You're teaching your mind. Responsibility equals pride equals growth, not pressure and dread.
Making that connection positive instead of negative.
Yes. So the question for you right now is, what's one small responsibility you could embrace today just to start building that muscle?
Okay, so bringing it all together, how does the mind really impact our ability to take on responsibility? There's this powerful metaphor that sums it up.
Yeah, it's quite profound. The mind is the weight, and the mind is the wings. It holds the power to make responsibility feel like this crushing burden or like something that lifts you up. If you let fear run the show, let those negative stories take hold, yeah, responsibility will crush you or feel like it is. But if you choose to train your mind with courage, with that growth mindset we talked about, then responsibility can actually lift you, carry you forward.
So remember this, you don't carry responsibility. Responsibility carries you, but only if your mind is ready. The next time responsibility knocks, try not to run, open the door, smile, and just say, I am ready.
And here's a final thought to take with you. How might embracing just one small new responsibility today, how could that change the path of your whole week? Or maybe even your month? Think about it. Thanks for diving deep with us today.